To the Monday, September 12th grouping of meetings. First, we have a special meeting of the city council to introduce some new business, strictly procedural. So in accordance with section 3.07 and 5.02 of the Home Rule Charter and sections 2.04.060 and 2.08.110, the city code, I hereby call the special meeting of the city council to be held now in Cranston City Hall. Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilwoman Marino. Councilwoman Renzulli.
Present.
Councilwoman Vargas. Councilwoman Jermaine. Councilman Donegan. Councilman Campiano.
Present.
Councilman Riley.
Present.
Council Vice President Ferry.
Present.
Council President Paplaskas.
Present. We do have a quorum present. We have one agenda item for introduction of new matters before the council. The advice and consent of the mayor's appointment of Tom Zadelis as finance director. This is being referred to a special finance committee meeting on September 29th, 2022, and there will be a full council meeting directly after. So I want to entertain a motion to send this advice and consent to the special finance committee.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Renzulli.
Yes.
Councilman Campiano.
Yes.
Councilman Riley.
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry.
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. So that handles all matters before the special council meeting. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Will you please record the ayes? Are there any noes? There are no noes. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Stay tuned for about another 12 minutes. We'll get going with the Safety Services and Licensing Committee. Thank you.
o'clock, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. It's the welcome to our Safety Services and Licensing Committee meeting for the month of September. Madam Clerk, can you please take the roll?
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Present.
Councilman Riley,
Present.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Present.
Councilwoman Jermaine. Present. Councilwoman Vargas, Councilman Campiano,
Present.
Council President Paplaskas.
Present.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes from our last meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine. Yes. Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We have a lengthy agenda tonight, so let's get moving. The business carried over. First, we have a mobile food establishment license. This is for La Berea LLC, continued from both July and August. Is there anyone present from this establishment tonight? Okay. Is there anyone online present representing La Berea LLC?
No comment on Zoom?
Okay, Solicitor, would I take this off the agenda and just notify the establishment through the clerk? This would be the third time that we've extended this. Should I have this taken off the agenda? This will be the third time that we forward this.
That's up to the committee.
Motion to remove from the docket.
Second.
Any discussion? Yes.
Through the chairwoman to the clerk, was the business, I assume, notified of the hearing this evening?
Yes, a letter was sent to them after the last meeting indicating that they needed to appear this evening, and then a phone call was made to the establishment.
Was there any response?
I don't, the clerk, the business license clerk, communicated with them. I'm not sure if she left a message or if she was able to speak to someone directly.
If this were to be removed, would that, I guess what would happen to their application? I assume that have they paid a fee for the license already?
I don't see any receipts. No, they haven't.
No objection.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine. Yes. Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Thank you. Next, we have a mobile food establishment license for Semper Pi LLC. This is continued from last month. Is there anyone present in chambers or online representing this establishment?
No comment on Zoom?
Okay. Then I would ask that this be moved forward to next month and for the establishment to be contacted.
Chair, should we wait one more month? We gave the other establishment 2 months. Maybe continue this one more month to send them another notice.
Yeah, that's what I just said. If, I don't know if we have to entertain a motion for that or if we can just forward it.
Then to continue for another.
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine. Yes. Councilman Campiano.
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Okay. Moving forward to public hearings. First, we have a Class BV liquor license. This is new for Cafe A Fumar. Is there anyone present representing this company? Yeah, okay. And I will entertain a motion so that we can open for discussion.
Motion
Motion to
approved.
approve. Second.
Okay, now for discussion, Is there anyone from the public wishing to speak for or against this application before I ask the applicant to speak? Anyone online? No? Okay,
No one on Zoom.
thank you. Then I'll ask you to just give us your name and your address for the record and explain a little bit about your application.
My home address,
It's either that or your business, whichever. is
business
fine.
is 1492 Park Avenue. I'm Amadeo Duraco. 1490 Amadeo Duraco. I'm sorry, 1464 Park Avenue is the new establishment.
Okay, if you could tell us a little bit about your establishment?
So it's gonna be a cafe with a humidor and cordials. Pretty much, that's it. It's mostly just a hang around cafe, nothing. Yeah, coffee.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from the committee? Councilman Ferry?
Her hours of operation and days of operation?
We're not totally set on that yet, but we're thinking 7 days a week from 11 to 1, 11 a.m. to 1 a.m.
Any other questions from the committee? Yes, Councilman?
Thank you. Will any food be served at the establishment?
Pastry. Pastry.
Councilman Paplaskas?
Thank you, Chair. Obviously, this is going with the old Ronzio's.
Correct.
Ventilation system, all
Yep.
that stuff, so that way all the other tenants.
Yes, we're
Are-
doing, actually, we want a very good ventilation system for us personally, either way. So there actually already is one in there from the Ronzios that we're gonna utilize, and we're gonna add air purifiers to the building,
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
of course.
Any other questions from the committee? Okay, just so you know, this is over the cap, so this needs full council approval. So if you get approval tonight, we'll approve this at the council meeting as well. Okay, if there's no further discussion, I'll ask the clerk to please take the roll.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine.
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
Through the
Thank you very
chair,
much.
He
Yes.
also has a victual license.
Evicting license as well? Okay. If we could also entertain a motion on the victualling license so that this gentleman cannot stay the whole meeting.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Any discussion?
Thank you.
All right, there being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
yes,
Okay, thank you. You're all
Thank you.
set now. Next, we have a Class BVL liquor license. This is new. This is for Layla and Athena LLC, DBA Athena's Restaurant. This is moving from victualling to BVL. Is there anyone present representing Athena's? Thank you. And is there anyone from the public here to speak for or against this matter? On Zoom?
No comment on Zoom?
Anyone in person? No? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, open for discussion. If you could give us your name and address for the record.
Sure. It's Christos Spiridis and it's 1482 Park Ave.
Okay, you just want to briefly give us a little explanation of your application?
So the diner's gonna stay 7 days a week, 6 to 2. It's just for mimosas on the weekends, basically, you know.
Okay.
Nothing else, no hard liquor or anything like that.
Excellent, thank you. Are there any questions from the committee? Councilman Paplaskas?
thank you. I assume you had to prove this when you applied for the license, but you'll have people there that are tip certified.
Yes,
When you're
all
serving
the
the
staff
mimosas?
already got tip certified before I came here tonight.
Okay,
Yeah,
excellent.
I have their cards and everything.
Excellent. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Is there any further discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, next we have a Class D liquor license renewal. Solicitor, am I correct in that because this is a renewal, it's here because it needs to be advertised, but no one needs to be present?
Merely a renewal. So, no, no one needs to be present.
Okay, I'll ask if there's any members of the public that would like to speak for or against this renewal of this application. Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Open for discussion. Is there any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Okay, next we have 4 Class A liquor license renewals. I would, if there's anyone for the public to speak for or against any of these applications, I'd like to ask that first. Otherwise, I would entertain a motion to take these as a block. Anyone from the public?
No comment on Zoom?
Motion to take these as a block?
Second?
Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Now I'll entertain a motion to approve the block.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley.
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Okay, next we have several Class BV liquor license renewals. Is there anyone here from the public that wants to speak for or against any of these renewals? On Zoom or,
Chair, did we do the Class J roads on the Patuxent renewal? It's on page, it's above new matters before the committee.
I know, right before that was Class A liquor license renewal. There were 4. The next page is Class BV, so I was doing those separately. Am I not supposed to do those
No, we're
separately?
good.
We're good?
We're good. Thanks.
Okay. So I would ask if there's anyone here to speak for any of the Class BV liquor license renewals. There being no one, I'd ask, entertain a motion to approve these as a block.
Motion to-
take out the block.
Second?
Any discussion? There being none, I'd ask the clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to approve said block.
So moved?
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, ask the clerk to please take the roll.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Thank you. Next, we have a Class J liquor license renewal. This is for roads on the Patuxent. Is there anyone present in chambers or online who'd like to speak for or against this application?
No public comment?
Okay, seeing none, I will, go ahead, Councilman. Did you have a question? Yeah, entertain a motion,
Motion to approve?
Second.
open for discussion, Councilman?
Thank you. Once again, through the chairwoman to the clerk, it might have been 2 years ago, I think the last time that their license was up. Someone had brought up the question of there being maybe a decade or so ago, restrictions that were placed on the license. Are those kind of grandfathered in with the existing license or?
Yeah, those restrictions carry over until unless the committee takes a certain restriction away.
Is one of the restrictions no boxing events?
I'd have to check. Fortunately, I don't have their file. I just have their application. I can check.
Yeah, I think whatever restrictions we put on would stand. unless we took them off, but I remember them being restrictions probably put on about 25 years ago. So.
Okay, is there any further discussion about this license renewal? There being none, I'll ask the clerk to please take the roll.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes?
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes,
Okay, thank you. Moving on to new matters before the committee. We have mobile food establishment licenses. We have several of these. I see first we have Boba Wave LLC. Is there anyone present here? Thank you. And is there anyone in the public who would like to speak for or against this application? Anyone on Zoom?
No public comment?
Okay, and I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, we're now open for discussion. If you could just give us your name and your address to the record and quickly tell us about your application.
My name's Janine Anthony. I live at 28A Mahajia Road in Foster. I own Boba Wave. We serve bubble tea. It's custom made as customers order. We're vegetarian and non-dairy. And we're looking to get a license so we can participate in Food Truck Friday and other festivals in town or private events and park on private locations if we get permission to.
Excellent, thank you. Are there any questions from the committee? Okay, there being none, I'll ask the clerk to please take the roll.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
yes,
Okay, thank you. You're all set. Next, we have Casa Tia Rosa. Is there anyone present for this mobile food establishment? Is there anyone present on Zoom?
No public comment?
Okay, then I would entertain a motion to forward this to the next meeting.
So moved?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Councilman Donegan?
Thank you. It's my understanding that MFE applicants, I mean, we're more or less just ratifying, right, that they have met the state requirements for their application. I mean, this could, if we don't approve this tonight, could prevent them from participating in some of the events that the previous applicant mentioned. I mean, if they have their state license fee, I don't see why we should hold it up.
Councilman Paplaskas?
yeah, I mean, there's been discussion in the past. Councilmember Donegan brought up a good point where we could try to handle these a little more administratively. You know, I don't know if that's something that legal can talk about or if Madam Clerk has any insight. These food truck licenses do seem pretty standard. It's certainly different than a brick and mortar where there's a lot more involved.
This is strictly something that's in the discretion of the committee. If they've fulfilled all of the requirements, which I assume they had to have, or else they wouldn't even be on the agenda, it's really not necessary for them to be here. That's something we do because the committee likes to, have some, personal contact and one-on-one with applicants. But that's not going to be a legal requirement or a legal impediment if they're not here. But that's strictly up to the committee, how you want to handle that. There's nothing legally preventing you from granting these once all of the preconditions have been met.
Councilman Ferry?
I kind of agree with Councilman Donegan. If they've done the application and they've dotted all the i's and crossed all the t's to get through the state, and they're just applying and paying a fee with the city, I don't see why we should make them come here. They're probably out selling food right now.
Councilman Paplaskas?
Yeah, I'll just make one suggestion. I know there are some guidelines in the ordinance. Maybe, Madam Clerk, we can put a checklist together that when applicants come in and sign off or fill out the form for this license, they can sign off that they acknowledge and get a copy of those regulations. As long as they know what they are, I see no problem with it. But again, I'll leave that up to the chair's discretion.
Okay, Councilwoman?
Thank you, Chairman. I although I agree with Councilman Donegan, but we need to be fair because we just remove one. The first one that was discontinued, it's mobile phone, the same. So I assume that this person, satisfy the requirement as well, and we just remove it. So if we have to consider, I wonder if we need to go back and change that too, because if we're doing it, we need to be fair. So the first we started our carryover, the matters carry over. It's a Liberia LLC that was continued for 2 months, and we just remove it. So I think if we want to consider this new matter as they are satisfied the requirement, so he has to be fair for everybody.
Councilman Donegan?
Thank you. Councilwoman Jermaine brings up a good point, and I think that I can't because I'm not on the committee, but if the committee, if those on the prevailing motion want to make a motion to reconsider, they could do so to consider ratifying the MFE license for Liberia LLC that we had previously taken off the docket. So if that's something the committee wants to do, I would certainly encourage them to do so.
Legal, is it okay? We can come back to a decision and change it, right? Based
Yes,
on
well-
what you just said.
What I'd suggest is handle these. I think there was a motion already pending. Then we can entertain a motion to basically revisit that first one that was removed. Someone makes a motion for reconsideration, that goes, and then you vote on the motion to approve or ratify, whichever. But the short answer is yes, we can go back, yes.
Thank you, Counselor. I have another question. Is that also we can use the same legal matters for any other class of, do they have the same requirement? Once they are here, they already satisfied. We don't have to have somebody be here.
I think, again, I'll say it again, that there's no legal requirement that I'm aware of that applicants have to appear personally in order to obtain the various licenses. I think the committee likes to do that to ask questions in case they have questions. Mobile food truck seems to be kind of straightforward because there is a state application process and there's certain requirements that they meet. So it's very administrative. Some of these others really aren't in the same nature of the mobile food truck. They're a little more personalized and kind of fact dependent. But it's in the discretion of the committee. You can do what you like.
Thank you.
Councilman Paplaskas?
Yeah, I just also like to add a point of information. When you do the MFEs, they're advertised in the paper, but a notice doesn't go out to abutters because there isn't a butter to an MFE, but there is when there's a brick and mortar. So that's another reason to keep it on, because we might have a neighbor or a resident come and, dispute or not want that business. So it's another thing to take into consideration.
Councilman Fry?
Through the chair, I'd like to ask the clerk a question. For instance, Casa Tia Rosa at this point, have they already put the application in and paid their fee? The second one we're on right now, Casa Tia Rosa. Okay, have they already put their application through and paid their fee at this point in time? Like when they're on this list right now, have they already paid their license?
It varies a lot. Most of them do want to pay in advance. So they pay once they apply.
So if we were to, let's say Casa Tia Rosa had not paid and we were to approve this tonight without them being here, they obviously wouldn't get the license until they paid you, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
To the solicitor, I'm just curious, if this is more administrative and we know that they have already met the state requirements when they come in and pay the clerk's office, is this something that even needs to come before us, or is it these licenses could be approved right through the clerk's office?
In my opinion,
Yes.
I don't think they have to come before the committee. I mean, this is something that's always been done. I don't know how far back it goes. But I don't see any requirement, again, that it has to be that way. This is something that is a policy or has been a policy of the committee, which can always be changed or amended in your discretion.
Is that something I'd have to ask for a vote on? Someone would make a motion to, in the future, have mobile food truck establishment
don't-
licenses approved through the administration?
I don't think so, because there's no vote required to place it on the docket or on the agenda that I'm aware of. I'm not quite sure how they get on the docket, but there's not a vote to put these items on the docket, so I don't see why there would be a need to take a vote going forward to change the process. I think that's an administrative function.
Okay, excellent. Then, yes, Councilman.
Sorry, not to belabor the point. And I agree that if there's a way to just ratify it and get around them having to come here, you know, if someone applies for the license, meets all the requirements on September 12th, you know, there's no reason for them to hang up having to wait until October 12th, when they could be making the most out of the last couple weeks of good weather. But I think there is, the only reason I know this was one, because I'm looking at it, but you know, I think it was just Councilman Paplaskas and I that were still on the council when this ordinance was and we
Longest meeting of my life.
yeah, it was, and several, but I think there is language within the ordinance in code that does reference no permit shall be revoked, suspended, modified, or renewed without hearing before the committee. So there makes reference to the committee taking some sort of action. So I don't know if we would have to do I assume we would have to make a formal amendment to the city code to change that process.
The clerk reminded me, and that's a good point. I think what we should do is let me review the ordinance in more detail to see if it requires, it does require committee approval. But I think the question is, do these people have to appear in person? That's one aspect of it. And even if it does require committee approval, there may be another way of doing it without placing it on a docket, or the other option would be to amend the ordinance to add language that if all the requirements are met, then they can be approved administratively. So, but let me look into that in a little more detail, and I can report back to the committee.
Council President.
Thank you. Well, Councilor Donegan, thank you, and Solicitor, thank you for clearing that up. But it doesn't prevent us tonight from approving the language. Yeah, if we wanted to approve all of these and work on that amendment, we can still approve
No, that's
these tonight,
fine.
and we can still go
Yes.
back and rehash the other ones, and if the permits are paid for, we can issue them. So I think we talked about this enough.
Yep, we can
We
revisit
can move on.
this.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So would it be possible to, if they don't have to be here, can we entertain to approve this as a block? If there's no one here from the public to speak for or against any of the mobile food establishment licenses?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll name them. I'll make a motion and I'll name them. So I'll make a motion to approve the mobile food establishment licenses, Casa Tia Rosa, Cultro, Food Vibes, Gorditos Snow Cones, and Manjamo on Wheels. Thank you.
Second,
Any discussion? There being none, ask the clerk to please take the roll.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
yes.
Councilman Campiano.
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes, and I'll make a motion to reconsider La Bira LLC.
Second.
We need to
We
remove
take
the first. We voted on it already. We need to,
I'd have to make a motion. I make a motion to approve the block for the mobile food truck establishments.
second,
Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley, Council Vice President Ferry.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine.
Yes.
Councilman Campiano.
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. And now I'll make a motion to reconsider Louisville Food Establishment License Labira LLC.
Second.
Any discussion?
Second.
If there's no discussion, clerk, please take the roll to reconsider.
Councilwoman Mazzulli.
Yes.
Councilman Riley.
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine.
Yes.
Councilman Campiano.
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Motion to approve mobile food establishment, La Bira LLC.
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Mazzulli.
Yes.
Councilman Riley.
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine.
Yes.
Councilman Campiano.
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Okay. Moving on.
Motion to reconsider Semper Pi LLC.
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Mazzulli.
Yes.
Councilman Riley.
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine.
Yes.
Councilman Campiano.
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Motion to approve Semper Pi LLC.
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Mazzulli.
Yes.
Councilman Riley.
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine.
Yes.
Councilman Campiano.
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Okay, next we have a victualling license for Arianella's Pizza Cafe and Deli. Is there anyone present representing that establishment? And is there anyone from the public that wants to speak for or against this application? In chambers, on Zoom?
No public comment.
I'll entertain a motion.
And to approve.
Second.
Okay, open for discussion. If you could just give us your name and address for the record.
Angela Galley.
Eli,
And your address, please.
228 Atwood Avenue, Peninsula, Rhode Island.
Okay, could you tell us a little bit about your application? Can you tell us a little bit about your business?
Pizza, cafe, deli, calzones, sandwiches, salads, pastries,
Excellent. What will your hours of operation be in the days of the week?
10 to 9, Monday to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 10 to 11, and Sunday, 12 to 9.
Excellent. Are there any questions from the committee? Councilman Paplaskas?
I'll just make a comment. I just want to wish you luck. You had our business in Knightsville when Judy and I first moved in, when we got married, and I was a frequent customer. So
Thank you.
look forward to being able to purchase lunch and stuff from you again.
Appreciate
So-
it. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the committee? Seeing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Mazzulli.
Yes.
Councilman Riley.
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine.
Yes.
Councilman Campiano.
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Good luck.
Appreciate it.
Okay, next we have Cafe Ava. Is there anyone present representing Cafe Ava? Either in person or on Zoom?
No public comment.
Okay, this is a brick and mortar establishment, so I think it would be prudent for us to forward this to the next committee so we can ask questions about hours, et cetera. So I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to
Motion to-
continue.
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Mazzulli.
Yes.
Councilman Riley.
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine.
Yes.
Councilman Campiano.
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Okay, next we have the diner on Dyer. Is there anyone here representing this application? Either in person or on Zoom?
No public comment.
Oh,
Motion to continue.
Second.
any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Mazzulli.
Yes.
Councilman Riley.
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine.
Yes.
Council Campiano.
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Clerk, please inform both of those establishments so they've been continued to the next month. And next we have the Breakfast Club on Phoenix. Is there anyone here representing the Breakfast Club? Thank you. Is there anyone present in chambers or on Zoom that would like to speak for or against this application?
No public comment.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Open for discussion. Hi, welcome. Could you give us your name and your address for the record, please?
Marissa Cavallo, 245 Phoenix Avenue, Cranston.
Thank you, Marissa. Could you tell us a little bit about your business?
Just breakfast and lunch restaurant, open Wednesday through Sunday, 7 to 2.
Fantastic. Are there any questions from the committee? All right, seeing none, then I'll ask the clerk to please take the roll.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano.
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Good luck. Okay, now moving on to the traffic engineer. I see no new business. And then we have a show cause that's for food and fuel. This is continued from our June meeting. Is there someone here representing food and fuel? Okay, if you could please come forward and I will turn this over to the solicitor.
How many people do we have here for food and fuel? All of you?
Yeah.
All right, who, sir, in the blue,
Yes.
identify yourself, please.
My name is Mian Salim. Mia Salim, MIAN SALEEM.
And the person to, is that your brother, the one in the
Yes.
back? Identify yourself, sir, please, for the record.
Muhammad Salim, MUHAMMAD SALEEM.
And who is the license holder?
Me,
Okay, who are the two gentlemen behind you? Are they workers?
yes.
Okay,
One is
they can have a seat for now, okay? Heather, would you please swear in, both of those gentlemen, please?
Yes.
Your names, please, again.
Muhammad Salim. Mian Salim.
Madam Chair, if I may, and also to members of the committee, just to refresh everyone's recollection. The last time we were here, I believe, was back in the June meeting, I believe. And at that time, you may recall that we had a show cause hearing involving two places of business that are owned by Mr. I'm sorry, is it Sahin?
Salim.
Salim. And at that time, I had presented the testimony of Sergeant Lori Sweeney. She testified that she, on various occasions, on behalf of the Cranston Police Department, had been running compliance checks throughout the city, not only with regard to these businesses, but compliance checks all over the city in order to determine if businesses who were licensed to sell tobacco products were in fact complying with state law and not selling those products to individuals under the age of 21. At that time, we adduced evidence to the testimony of Sergeant Sweeney that on several occasions, these establishments had in fact sold tobacco products to underage patrons. At that time, I believe Mr. Salim testified that that was due to an employee problem, person who was working behind the counter. He assured the committee at that time that that person had been fired or would be spoken to or reprimanded in some manner or fashion. I don't recall which at this time. That's not important. What is important is that we basically did not take any action at that time. And we gave Mr. Salim, both Mr. Salims, the benefit of the doubt and consideration, and essentially put them on sort of unofficial probation to see if going forward that they would comply with state law after receiving these citations from the Cranston Police Department and a warning from the committee. Last Friday, I was in municipal court. I spoke with Sergeant Sweeney. I spoke with her again today. Unfortunately, the business establishment, Quality Fuel, Mr. Salim's business, was once again cited for selling tobacco products to underage individuals. Now, that in and of itself would constitute a breach of trust, a violation of consideration given to them by this committee. However, having said that, I did discuss this at length with Sergeant Sweeney, and I'd like to inform the committee that there are all of these citations will be heard in the Cranston Municipal Court. There is a trial date on those violations scheduled for October 28th. Now, Mr. Salim is represented by counsel at those proceedings. I believe it's Mr. Gulick. Is it still Mr. Gulick?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And my understanding is that Solicitor Orton and Attorney Gulick are in negotiations to try to resolve these outstanding citations. I believe that the disposition that was being discussed involved a suspension of some period of time of their license to sell tobacco products, in addition to some heavy fines. So as I stand here tonight and in consideration of what I discussed with Sergeant Sweeney, at this point in time, I'm not going to proceed, although I could, and ask the committee to impose any type of sanction. Rather, what I propose to do is I'm going to ask this committee to place this on the October calendar. And the reason I'm asking that is because if the matter is resolved in the municipal court, depending on the outcome, I may not proceed before the committee. However, if it is not resolved in the municipal court by that time, then in all likelihood, I am going to move forward. And I will be asking for fairly heavy sanctions at that time. So, sir, I realize your attorney is not here tonight. And it's not up to me to give you legal advice, but I'm going to say this for the record to the two of you, that you are on extremely thin ice with this city, okay? And you're very lucky that I am not proceeding tonight because you've got several licenses there. I believe there's a victualling license in addition to the tobacco license. I believe there's also a state license for gasoline sales. Madam Clerk, is that correct? It's one thing, sir, if you have a suspension of your license to sell tobacco. That's one part of your business. If you lose the rest of your licenses, if they're suspended, you are out of business for whatever period of time this committee feels is appropriate. So I can tell you that you're this close to going out of business. So, and it's not a threat. I'm not saying it to threaten you, sir, but altogether, you have 7 incidents, 7 different citations for the same thing. This isn't a court of law. I don't know if you're not taking it seriously. I don't know what the issue is, but I can assure you this committee takes it very seriously. Just because they can't put you in jail or put you on probation or something like that does not mean they cannot impose a very severe sanction. And I can't think of a more severe sanction than to close someone's business. And that's not what we're about. That is the last thing we want to do. But 7 violations in a short period of time is unacceptable. So you could take that under advisement. So, Madam Clerk, I'm going to ask that the committee, that somebody propose to continue this matter, make a motion to continue it to the October calendar. And I will continue to deal with Sergeant Sweeney and the municipal court to see if we can resolve it there.
Point of information, Solicitor, if this is being heard in municipal court on October 28th, we would have to move it to the November calendar just because of when our meetings fall in the month. So we would
Well-
meet the first week of October. So how do you want to do that?
Well, the reason I'm saying the first week of October, frankly, Madam Clerk, is because I want to keep this matter on a short leash because I want the pressure to remain there. I want this to be resolved in the municipal court. And if it's not resolved, there's no reason why this should not be resolved by the first week of October. I don't want it to drag out any longer than it needs to. And if a resolution is not reached by the first week of October, I will proceed here. So that's going to give Mr. Salim and his attorney an incentive to resolve the matter in the municipal court.
Councilman Riley?
Through the chair. Just a comment about the process. So it's this body that removes or approves licenses.
Correct.
So to hear that it's going to be in a negotiation of a possible resolution of numerous violations of the city's policy, endangering children, selling cigarettes to children, any resolution is, I mean, with the evidence from the officer, it's pretty dead to rights. So I'm a little concerned that license suspension of any kind is going to be dealt with another entity who is not us. I think we need to be a part of any of those discussions. And, you know, in my mind, whatever the fines are, I think we still have to take a very serious look at this because it's a short amount of time. It was after they were already warned and given the benefit of the doubt by us, and then went and did it again. This, in my mind, I wouldn't even continue it tonight, but I will follow the advice of the solicitor, but this is not something that we will deal with in our city. So I think that we should take some very strong action against this, but I am willing to wait that month to do that.
Councilman Riley, and you bring up a good point, but let me just clarify something so there's no misunderstanding. Let me clear this up for the committee. Just because myself and Sergeant Sweeney want to see how this fleshes out in municipal court does not mean that I'm simply going to walk away from it after that. However, I think it's important from a evidentiary point of view so that I can bring all of the facts in front of the committee, including what may be mitigating factors. If they've been punished in the municipal court, that's something this committee may want to take into consideration in fashioning a sanction. I'm in no way suggesting that the municipal court is the do-all, end-all, not at all. I've made it very clear. The municipal court is dealing simply with violations of the tobacco ordinance. That's it. And their actions on that license affect their other licenses. So they are two separate things. However, I think it makes sense to do it that way only because, as I said, if the committee still wants to fashion some type of sanction at that point, at least you'll have the information as to what sanctions have already been imposed. That's all. I am not suggesting that the municipal court is taking full jurisdiction. They don't have jurisdiction over the licenses that I mentioned before. Only this committee does. But I think it's important that we have the input of the municipal court. That's all I meant by that.
Thank you. I appreciate that perspective and agree with you.
Councilman Paplaskas?
I'll defer to my colleague. I'll probably go last.
Thank you, Council President. So I represent, on the city council, the area where the shop is. And, I think 3 years ago, I had when the legal age was 18 before the federal government had taken action on it, you know, I had introduced an ordinance to raise the age to 21 and ban flavored tobacco because it does have an impact on our community. The census tract where you guys are has elevated levels of heart disease, cancer, et cetera, lower life expectancy. So, you know, policies around health is really important, and children being sold tobacco or people underage being sold tobacco is not okay. And I mean, 7 times is, it's just unexcusable. So I'll listen to, you know, tonight to what the solicitor says, but you know, the committee, this can't happen. So I don't know what the right penalty is going forward, but this is just unexcusable.
Councilman Paplaskas?
Yeah, just to follow up on my colleagues' points, and I'll be quick. You know, I've been up here 8 years. I chaired this committee for 4, never seen this many violations ever. You know, one here, one there, gets resolved. This is taken to a whole nother level, and the solicitor mentioned thin ice. I think that ice melted a long time ago. So I will vote because Attorney Videcchia has never steered our committee wrong. He's excellent legal mind. I will vote to continue this. I'm glad it's staying in our purview. And I look forward to seeing what the results are in municipal court, and this body can still take action. I just can't believe, you know, the disregard for the law. So thank you.
Solicitor, may I ask the owners a question or no?
Madam Chair, I would strongly suggest that you don't. You know, I'm giving them every break. It's probably the decades I have of being a criminal defense lawyer. They are represented by counsel. Frankly, I'm afraid they're going to say something on the record that can only harm them. So I would prefer that you're not. I prefer that no one ask them questions, not at this point.
Okay, thank you. Then I will follow solicitor's advice.
Motion to continue?
Second,
Any further discussion?
Continue to October.
Yes, please, clerk. No further discussion. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, next, under the police department, we have a discussion regarding the Cranston shooting range. This will be an opportunity for the public to come forward either on Zoom or here in chambers to speak for 4 minutes. I will time that here on my iPad. We do want to be, you know, equitable with everyone having the same amount of time to speak. So please be considerate of that. Following that, the administration, the police department will be able to speak, and then council members will have the opportunity to speak. This is not a matter that we're voting on. This is simply to bring some concerns of the public forward to us. And then we, at the advice of solicitor, we will go from there. Okay. So I would like to start in chambers to ask if there is whoever would like to come forward first to give public comment. You have 4 minutes.
My name is Martha DeMayo. I live at 69 Laconia Road, exactly 0.4 miles from the firing range. I hear every bullet that is fired at that range. But what I learned in the last 2.5 years, when you're doing the right thing, people fall across your path to help you. And the first person to fall across my path was retired Police Chief Kenneth Mancuso. I have a video interview with him, but I'll give you a quick synopsis of what we talked about. I asked the chief, he told me he was a police chief in the 60s and he put in the range. So I asked him, I said, why is it so much louder now than when I lived on Laconia Road in the 60s and 70s? And what he said was, they are training with more powerful weapons now. They use a lot of shotguns, which we used then, but not as much as they use now. They use automatic weapons, which we didn't have in those days. So naturally, it's louder. It's unfortunate the neighbors have to put up with this. So I said to him, so many more people are practicing there now. Yes, several departments use the range. Now it's the FBI, it's private organizations. They all come and use it. It's changed completely from when I was chief. Then I asked him, do you mind if I give this information to the press? I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that at all. And I said to him, it's a quality of life issue. Yes, it is. And I understand that. I really understand that. They have to do something about it because you're not the only one I heard complain. Oh, I said, people are reaching out to you? This was last October. Last October, City Hall was telling me I was the only one complaining. My councilmen for 6 years have told me I was the only one complaining. Then we finished up the conversation. He said, yes, people talk to me about it, but not like you. That's good. So the next person I spoke to was a representative from Jack Reed's office. I wanted to know where the National Guard trains on their AR-15s. You know what I learned? What we're expected to put up with in Cranston, it doesn't happen in wealthy communities. This is a class issue. The developers and the residents in East Greenwich got the feds to shut down that outdoor range at the Guard facility. So I asked, I continued, well, where do they, so where does the military practice? Where do they qualify? And that question I posed to John Kernan, an ex-military staffer in Reed's office. And the answer, they go to military bases. That is a solution. That is a solution that will solve this problem. The third person to cross my path was an active duty soldier stationed in New London. I shared with him the mayor's proposal of building an indoor facility, indoor range in a congested neighborhood across from schools. The soldier listed the 6 bases that he's been stationed at. He's a special operations soldier. He trains on all the automatic and semi-automatic weapons that the military uses. He told me the military does not have shooting ranges, indoor or outdoor, anywhere near civilian neighborhoods. So I want to leave you with 3 irrefutable truths. Number 1, no child in my city should listen to gunshots during the school day. In 2022, there should not be any shooting ranges, indoor or outdoors, anywhere near schools. Number 2, no resident, no homeowner should have to leave their home 8 hours a day to escape gunfire. And the third irrefutable truth, and this one I want you to sleep on tonight. If there was an active shooter at Stop and Shop, like the shooter at the Top Supermarket in Buffalo, or a shooter at Cranston West, how would we know the difference? And you know the answer I received from Chief Wenquist? He told me it would take a few minutes. It would take a few minutes to know there was an active shooter in Meshedicket. This is not a situation that can be deliberated for another 9 months. And this is not a situation that can wait until grants that may never materialize. The people of Cranston deserve nothing less than the wealthy people of East Greenwich. We're living in a dangerous situation, not being able to identify an active shooter for an extra few minutes. Nothing short of that range being shut down will suffice. Do the right thing. And I have audio. I would like to subject you to what we listen to every day. May I play it?
You've already gone over your time. I don't know if you, it would be through the solicitor, something to submit for the record. I just want to do this properly.
It's in your discretion.
I'm sure we've all heard it online. I don't mind if you play it right now quickly. And then I would like to submit it for the record, though.
I submitted for the record. You send you the file. I was hoping to use the video.
We cannot connect
I
to this.
understand. I
to this
understand.
computer.
Can I play it? It's 27 seconds.
Go ahead.
Sometimes it goes on for 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes,
excuse me,
solicitor.
ma'am, just so the record is complete, could we just inquire when or how, under what conditions was that recording made? How close in proximity to the range and when was that?
No, no. The one I just played.
Yes,
Was made on Scotland Drive. I live on Laconia Road, which is a 1 block farther. Scotland Drive, Scotland is on the left of Phoenix Avenue. It goes Western Hills, West Hill Drive, Laconia. I've done audio recordings. It's 80 decibels in my backyard.
and approximately, how far is your backyard from?
0.4 from my driveway to the entrance of the shooting range is 0.4 miles.
And just finally, and this is just to keep the record clear, what time of the day or night was that particular recording?
This was in the middle
taken?
of the day in the spring,
Okay,
this afternoon,
I'm sorry, in the spring, did you say?
this spring. It goes, I have recordings that there was an article in Rhode Island News Today. Nighttime, I'm not identified. I'm saying a daily diary. That was done at 6 o'clock in November.
Okay, thank you,
It
ma'am.
goes on 12 months a year.
Thank you.
I would ask that those going forward, please recognize that the 4 minutes that you have to speak. I don't want to cut anyone off. That's not my goal here tonight, but if you're over the 4 minutes, I'm gonna have to cut you off. We're gonna be here all night, okay? Thank you.
My name is Patricia Schoeninger, and I live at 7 Scotland Road. Of course, it's SCHOENINGER. You're welcome. I have lived in my home for 44 years. I was a stay-at-home mom, and I raised my children in this community. My children attended the schools here, George Peters, Western Hills, and Cranston West. My family was never subjected to the barrage of gunfire in our home or in my children in their schools like we live with now. On any given day of the week, at any time, between 8:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m., and some days until 9 p.m., we are bombarded with hours of gunfire. There are days that I have to leave my home because the gunfire is intolerable. It has affected my quality of life, and that's unacceptable. The children from my community tell me if there was an attack at the school that they would not know the difference. They hear gunfire all the time. I find that statement dangerous and disturbing. These children have a zero tolerance for any type of violence in school, but it's okay for them to hear military weapons being shot while they are in their classrooms. What kind of quality of life is that for our children attending school? They deserve to have the best environment for learning and growing. I attended a meeting on December 8th, 2021 at City Hall regarding the gun range with Mayor Hopkins, his staff, State Rep Brandon Potter, 2 police officers, 2 Cranston police officers, and 3 constituents from my community. The mayor acknowledged that the gun range is a public nuisance and gave me his word he would do something about it. Both police officers acknowledged they are using military weapons and ammunition that are more powerful and louder than in the past years. And the gun range is rented out to other cities' police departments for state qualifications, which increases activity and more gunfire in my neighborhood. How did Cranston become host city for state qualifications? There is nothing in state requirements that suggest it has to be here. And why should my neighborhood take on the burden of all this chaos? The world has changed. Mass shootings are everywhere, and my community is a dangerous place. We hear gunfire on a daily basis and would not react as we should if we were under attack until we saw bodies falling. And how many innocent lives would be lost? And who would be responsible for that? This gun range does not belong in my neighborhood and it has to be shut down. As voters and taxpayers of the city of Cranston, we deserve to live in our neighborhood in a peaceful, quiet, and safe environment. I would like to thank all the members of the City Council for their time today. Thank you.
My name? Address to? Or Eric Aslan, 10 Cobblestone Terrace, Cranston. ASSELIN. And if you just YouTube Cranston Gun Range, you have videos that you can watch. So just for the record. Hi, my name is Eric Aslan, State Senate candidate in District 26, a public school teacher and a father to 2 daughters at Oak Lawn Elementary School. I'm not a lifelong Cranston native, so when I moved to Cranston and I heard the pop-pops in the distance, I live off of Lofty, I asked neighbors about it and they said it came from the gun range. Now, I just assumed that the gun range must be in some rural area. Fast forward to this past July where I met Pat while gathering signatures. This is where I found out the range is directly across the street from the middle and high school and in the direct vicinity of several neighborhoods. She told me that the shooting even happens during school hours. So I went home and checked the Go Local Prov article she mentioned, and the attached video of repeated gunfire was horrifying. My brain broke. I thought, how is this acceptable? I thought. I showed my wife, who teaches elementary in Manville, a lower socioeconomic area of Lincoln. She said there's a gun club right near the school where she is, about 600 yards away. And she also hears gunshots while her children are at recess. In today's climate, where we've had 464 mass shootings this year alone, including Uvalde, there is no way there should be gunfire heard just yards away from a school. How is this a productive learning environment? How is this good for the mental well-being of our children? For the people of the neighborhood, this is an economic as well as a quality of life issue. What does having a gun range adjacent to your house do to your property value? I can just see someone in the neighborhood putting that house up for sale and they have an open house and then the bullets start flying. How many prospective buyers are just going to go turn back in their cars and look elsewhere? Imagine working 40+ years, you finally get to retire, and your reward is hearing a constant barrage of gunfire. We live in the central part of the smallest state. Our police department is less than 30 minutes from each corner of the state. There are plenty of ranges in more rural areas where they could practice. If elected, I would support Representative Potter's bill prohibiting gun ranges near schools. Finally, council members, let me leave you with this. Too often politicians lack the political courage to do the right thing and instead kick the can down the road to their successor. Regardless of what you decide, this decision of action or inaction will be remembered in Cranston's history. Years down the line, there will be headlines written about what you decide on this issue. It could read, despite public appeals, City Council decided to keep the gun range across the street from public schools. Or City Council closed the gun range that was located across the street from your schools. Which one of these headlines is the right side of history? I think it's pretty obvious. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sherry Izzy. Last name is Izzi, and I live at 12 Midland Drive. Thank you all for listening to us tonight, and I'm just going to make 4 points for you. First one is that I work from home, and I've had to end Zoom calls with the C-suite, very high-level executives due to rapid gunfire. This isn't just a one-time thing. It happens all the time. I've worked from home for a long time. This isn't a product of COVID. As you can imagine, this is greatly disconcerting to me that it's directly affecting my livelihood. Second thing is that it's been said frequently that the gun shooting happens only during the day and it's infrequent. And I don't know if any of you noticed, I walked into the chambers here with my husband at about 6:20. I left my house on Midland Drive at exactly 6:11. I opened the door to gunfire. The range was active as I was leaving to come here, and I thought, this is unbelievable. It's dinner time and the shooting is going on. This happens all the time. Third point, I went for a walk one day with my husband. We frequently walk around Cranston West. On the morning of August 12th, when early morning in front of Cranston West, I stepped on a 9mm spent casing. That should alarm everyone in here. So to me, I had never seen, a spent casing on the ground. I called the police when I got back home at 8:08. I said, is this something that should be concerning? They said, well, come right down and get it. The officer looked at it and said, yeah, that's probably from the range. Again, absolutely incredulous that this is happening right in front of Cranston West. God forbid if it was a live round that somehow got out due to the range, not to mention remediation and environmental impact of something like that happening. And the fourth point, and it's been made here already again, that shooting is so disconcerting that if I have to end Zoom calls in the middle of the day, these children are hearing it on a regular basis. Again, the word that keeps coming to mind is incredulous, that children should have to listen to this in this day and age. I want to make it clear I'm pro-police, completely understand that this needs to happen, but I would hope everyone would come to the table and take this as serious as it is, to say we have to do something, we have to solve this, we have to come to the table and realize that the way it is now cannot remain. We have to change this. And just one quick point, it's also been said that the range has been around forever. It's been made, but my house was built in 1952 and the range went in at that site at 1963. So our neighborhoods have been here for a while. Thank you very much.
Hello. My name is Peter Zabinski. I live at 60 Midland Drive, Cranston. I addressed the city council on this issue twice, 3 or 4 years ago. I did a great amount of research. I researched throughout the country, shooting ranges. I know about shooting ranges. I experienced a shooting range when I was in the Army in boot camp in Fort Dix, New Jersey. I was in the shooting range the day that President Kennedy got assassinated. So I know about shooting ranges, and I know about this shooting range. I also know that we have probably the best police force in the country. Not anti-police, I'm pro-police. They do a magnificent job. What I proposed to the city council, and I'll say it again tonight, and we proposed it to Mayor Hopkins, and he agreed. The only solution that can solve that problem without moving it to out in the somewhere is to enclose it. If you go to the shooting range in Coventry, which I have been there, you can stand close by the walls outside and hear nothing. So if we had an indoor shooting range there, you would not hear anything anywhere. And Mayor Hopkins has agreed to pursue that issue and was trying to get funds allocated to have that accomplished. So I implore you, as members of this committee, if you ever do vote, or as members of the full council, to vote on something that will give us the answer that we need as law-abiding citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zabriskie. I just want to make it known for those on Zoom that we are running late in the Safety Services Committee meeting. So the finance meeting was supposed to start at 7 o'clock, I believe, and we are running late. So please stay tuned. Go ahead, whoever's next.
Hi, my name is Lauren Pregoni. I live at 72 Dean Street, Cranston, Rhode Island. I was made aware of this hearing or council meeting by my neighbors, and I didn't know this was happening, but I am really concerned about the gunshots in my neighborhood. I've lived in major cities in the country, including several in Southern California, and I've never witnessed those local police departments use this type of weapons that are being practiced on in Cranston. I don't really understand why Cranston Police Department need to practice with such powerful weapons in a small community. As my other neighbors have mentioned, it's so incredibly close to the high school and middle schools. And at the rate we have school shootings in this country, it's egregious that we allow this to occur. I cannot imagine being a child sitting in those classrooms, hearing those gunshots, not knowing if it's just them practicing or if I'm about to lose my life. They literally make bulletproof backpacks for children in America now. It's truly heartbreaking. Because we have this gun problem in America and now it's prevalent in all of our communities, I don't really understand the necessity of having a shooting range so close to schools and residential communities. As my other neighbors have mentioned, that they work from home. My husband and I also work from home, and we've also had to stop Zoom meetings because of the loud shooting, which is not only embarrassing, but also extremely scary because I too don't know if someone's just approaching me in the neighborhood to shoot my house. It's a reality that we have in America, so it's not really absurd to think that would happen. It also impacts when you have guests over, them hearing that is totally alarming. Our first night, we bought our home in Cranston in 2020 and we moved here from San Diego. We heard it our first night moving here and it totally concerned us. Like we just left one of the biggest cities in the country and we hear this shooting. We never heard it in San Diego. So I just wanted to voice my concern about it. My neighbors have already very eloquently expressed our concerns. But I think we should really consider the home property values this brings up, the safety and environmental issues, the psychological impact, even if we don't want to care about adults, to our children, you know, like they have to deal with this all of the time. They shouldn't be scared hearing gunshots at school. So I think we should prioritize the community's mental and psychological health and probably eliminate it completely from the neighborhood. So thank you so much.
Evening, Jeffrey Maynard, Maynard, of 80 Midland Drive. I'm about 250 yards from the range. It's in my backyard. I can see lights from the range, actually, from my back deck. I know we're running along, so I'm going to keep it quick. Gunfire sometimes begins as early about 9:30 in the morning and go until about 8:30 at night. Could be 7 days a week. Sometimes there's some breaks in it, sometimes there aren't. My wife, who works from home, has to keep the windows closed pretty much at all times, because if we leave the windows open, everyone on Teams or Zoom can hear the gunfire if her mic is unmuted. It's really incredibly disruptive. And in this era where we've had so many school shootings and so many constant reminders of this kind of gun violence, hearing staccato gunfire in our backyard is very difficult to listen to. So I appreciate your time, and I do urge council to consider some of the many solutions that we've already talked about today, such as enclosing or relocating it, or at the very least limiting the hours so that they're not shooting on the weekends or deep into the night. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nancy Russo, 81 Angel Avenue, Cranston. From 1994 to 2002, I lived in the Mechanicat neighborhood. I heard the police academy shooting range daily. It sounded like popcorn in the distance. I heard it more recently while walking around Mechanicat Lake. It sounded like war. The range used to be used for pistol practice, and now it is used for the daily shooting of automatic weapons, all within a mile of Cranston West and Western Hills. As the safety committee, I want you to consider this as a safety issue. The police have told Cranston residents that children at Cranston West and Western Hills should, quote, get used to the sound of gunfire. And largely, they have. Substitute teachers at Western Hills have been known to dive under the desks when they hear the police academy gunfire. The children and regular teachers are blasé. What is the risk of children and teachers getting used to the sound of automatic weapons fire? Suppose there were a mass shooting at Western Hills. Imagine dozens dead and nobody calls the police right away because they were all used to the sound of gunfire. Maybe dozens more die during the minutes of confusion at Western Hills because of the delay. Perhaps the students and teachers at Cranston West could hear the mass shooting, but because they are used to the sound of gunfire, no lockdown is ordered at Cranston West for some time. Perhaps there were 2 shooters at Western Hills like there were at Columbine. Maybe the shooters walk to Cranston West next, where the marching band or the sports teams are making their way out to the football field. The Cranston West students and teachers had heard the shots, but being used to the sound of gunfire, they continued their normal activities. How many Cranston West students and teachers could lose their lives because a lockdown was delayed? The police are practicing automatic weapons fire for the purpose of making the public more safe. I say it is doing the opposite. It is endangering entire schools full of our children. It also sends them the horrible message that they may get shot up in school, and their community leaders are fine with enhancing that risk by exposing them to the sounds of mass shootings on a daily basis. Surely, in this vast country, the FBI can find a better place to shoot its guns than right across the street from the Cranston schools. And whatever needs the Rhode Island police departments have for certification, Cranston school children should not be made to suffer a penalty for that. When the National Guard's gunfire became a problem in East Greenwich, they found a more remote place to shoot at a military location away from civilian exposure. Nobody wants the Cranston Police and the Cranston School Department to be in the position of the Uvalde Police and School Departments in Texas, having to explain why so many teachers or students died unnecessarily because of a delayed response. Originally, I had planned to bring my cordless amplifier here tonight and leave it out on the sidewalk as you came in and played the sounds that were recorded at Western Hills while people were waiting to pick up their children. But the more I thought about it, playing those sounds outside of City Hall would have been alarming. Maybe someone from the fire department would come out with their gun thinking there was a mass shooting in the parking lot. Maybe people in Cranston City Hall would initiate a lockdown thinking there was a mass shooting in the parking lot. Maybe civilians would dive on the ground or hurt themselves or have heart attacks. So the sounds that are coming out of Western Hills are too dangerous to be played outside of City Hall. Thank you.
Is there anyone else in chambers who would like to speak regarding this matter?
Good evening. My name is Jose Giusti. I reside at 34 Giusti, Giusti. I reside at 34 Midland Drive, about 700 yards from the shooting range. And a lot of the folks before me have definitely touched on some valid points. So I'll keep this short. I didn't script anything, so I'm just speaking off the head here. It's, you know, I bought my house in 2019, so I kind of was exposed to the shooting range already there. Although it did raise a lot of questions when we were first purchasing our home to see whether or not this is what we wanted to purchase or not. And I will say for the record that it's not just one school, it's 2 schools that the shooting range is near. And not to mention that maybe, I don't know, less than 10 yards away from it, we just started clearing out some land there. So eventually in the near future, we're gonna be building a couple residential houses there, which could pose an impact on the sale or the value of those homes. In addition to that, you know, Midstate, somebody mentioned earlier, is less than a mile away from Coventry High School. And I know it's different towns, but it's the same scenario, situation that we're dealing with here. And they're enclosed, and that's a private company. I'm not against police. I'm not from any particular group or anything like that. It's just the noise. I also too have a video of the shooting range going up to about 8 p.m., just directly me sitting on my patio. And it sounded like the videos that were played here at the beginning of this agenda item. And it's also said that around, you know, I have a 5-year-old, so many of you with children can relate, maybe can't relate, but I will say this, you know, it's kind of sad that at 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, I have to put my daughter to bed with background noise and white noise. And I have to put a fan on just to block out some of the noise. So with that said, thank you very much for your time.
Good evening. My name's Scott Robinson. I live at 63 Scotland Road, and I've been there for about 25 years now, since 1998. I just want to share a story that my daughter, I have twins, Aiden and Alyssa Robinson. Last year, my daughter was in beginning school and they had a new teacher. She was from out of state. She wasn't familiar with anything going on in our school system. And basically the gunfire started going off, and the teacher unknowingly thought that she was going to have to put the school in lockdown or get the principal involved. And my daughter and some of her friends had said, nope, 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 that's just the gun zone across the street. That's normal. And she was like in disbelief. Just this summer, my son's in track, which is, the track is only divided by Phoenix Ave and a parking lot than the gun range. They had a invitational with different schools, and a friend of his from Burrowville that really doesn't come to Cranston West that much was there, and the gun range started going off, and he was hitting the turf, literally hit the turf. My son was laughing so hard that he had to explain to him again, this is a normal thing. And he just didn't like, he's like, I don't understand this. Why is this here? Why we listen to this? And my son's like, this is the norm. And, you know, when you have teenage kids going through hormone changes and everything else, you shouldn't have to go through that. They got enough problems with peer pressure and everything else, trying to do things. My daughter works, my son works, they go to school, they both play sports, they're very active, they stay out of trouble, but then they have to listen to that, not even 300 yards from the house. You know, just to alleviate on Sherry's thing, why were we here at 6:15 when she mentioned about the gun range supposed to be ending at 4:30? My wife recorded, it's right here, 6:15, gunfire going off, why we're sitting here, if I can get it to play. My phone's not that good, so. This was a little over an hour ago, when it was supposed to be done at 4:30. Now, the 6:15, dinner time, we like to sit outside. We have a covered patio. We can't do that anymore because it's so noisy. You can't even have a conversation, especially if we have friends and family over. So we decided not to even use it anymore, and I keep the doors closed with the air conditioner on. And it shouldn't have to be that way. You know, sometimes I want to open my window to get fresh air. I just can't do it because I'm listening to this from 8:30 to sometimes 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, and on Sundays, which is unacceptable. Thank you.
Is there anyone else present in chambers from the public who would like to speak on this topic? I see no one. I'd ask if there's anyone on Zoom who's expressed an interest in speaking on this topic.
No public comment.
Okay, then I will close public comment and give the police department an opportunity to speak, as well as the administration.
Good evening. There it goes. Good evening. It's Major Todd Catalano. I I'd just like to say that I know most of the people out in this audience, Scott, Peter. We spoke to them on numerous occasions about this. I do have some information. I just want to bring us up to speed where we are today, the evolution of this for those who don't know. But I first want to address the issue with the schools. I just heard 3 or 4 people talk about how the schools and it's unsafe. Let me just tell you this, that Weston Hills and Cranston West are the 2 safest schools in the country. Cranston West has a police officer stationed there every day in the school. There's surveillance cameras throughout the school. They're monitored at the school and at the police station. And yes, the response will be fast if the officers are at the range and something should happen. And the school has been spoken to. We've spoken to the principal. We've spoken to school administrators. The principal himself has said, I want the range there. I like the range there. I know that there's 30 police officers. Then if there is a problem with the school, they'll be here momentarily. There will be no delay. So we did speak to the school, and yet we've yet to have one complaint from a student or a teacher to the police department about the shooting. We have not one. I heard one tonight from Scott. That's the first time. So I will end that with the school department. And what you feel is unsafe, I don't want that to be put out there that there was a problem in the schools, that people should feel unsafe at the schools. That is clearly not the case. I will now get on to the evolution of where we stand today and how this started. The range was actually started, they were shooting there since 1952. It started in 1952. The police range was built or began to be built approximately 70 years ago. It was built in this location for safety reasons. On 2 sides, it has a rock quarry. There's also been a building installed over there over the years on the 3rd side. On the last side, we've installed bushes. We've put berms in. We put sound mitigation, baffles. So there's been a lot of work done over the years to try to circumvent this noise pollution that has been described. And I do agree with you. We are sympathetic to your concerns, but we're working to solve it. The training facility's sole purpose is to train the Cranston police officers to have professionalism, professional, skilled, trained officers to promote effective and precise policing. Precise policing in all situations to include high liability, deadly force situations. The reason we're up there shooting is to make sure that the officers are trained, accurate, and are proficient in firearm usage. We do not use shotguns, as I heard. We do not use automatic weapons. We do not use automatic weapons. So I've heard that numerous times tonight. We use AR-15s and we use our handgun, our pistol, which is a Glock. When I refer to those deadly force situations, I'm referring to officers having to use their firearm to protect the citizens, officers, and their families within the community at large. We want our officers highly trained and skilled when and if these situations occur. And I would think that you would all agree with that. We are required by state law each year annually to qualify. We have 153 officers. I heard tonight that people say, well, there's no shooting tonight. They said it's not after 4:30. We clearly list the times and dates when we're shooting to the concerned parties. If you look right now, you will see that we have our qualifications September and October. And tonight there's qualifications till 8 o'clock at night. Officers have to be trained to not only shoot during the day in daylight conditions, they have to be trained to shoot at night in nighttime situations, such as this atmosphere. They have to be able to encounter and make the situations as realistic as possible. And that's why we train at night when it gets dark. Now we do it immediately when it gets dark. 7 o'clock, it's dark. 6 o'clock, it starts to get dark. 7 o'clock, it's dark. 8 o'clock, it's done. We do it at the first phase when it's dark out. As soon as it's done, we don't want to go to 9, 10 o'clock. As far as who uses the range, the FBI does not use the range anymore. Several departments did use the range. When the complaints were brought to us, we moved it back to 3 departments who don't have any other options. We have East Providence, Johnson, and Smithfield. That's it. They use it 1 week a year. 1 week. The last agency that uses it is the Rhode Island Police Municipal Police Academy. That is used where all the officers throughout the state are trained. Okay, that is for 2 weeks, every session of the police academy. 2 weeks. So if we use their 2 weeks, the 3 weeks from the other departments, plus our qualification in September and October, that's the schedule. It's listed. We've provided it to the mayor's office, to all the concerned parties that would like to know it. There is no weekend shooting. There's clearly, anybody that shakes their head, there is no weekend shooting. There's no one up there on the weekend. Stop. I have cameras to prove it. We have a surveillance system on the facility. There is no one shooting there on the weekends, I can assure you. We do not have anybody working on the weekends at the training facility. It's a Monday through Friday operation. Aside from the berms, the trees, the mitigation baffles, we did obtain a quote. We obtained a quote from a soundproofing company from New Hampshire to provide additional mitigation. It was $400,000, and they were going to hang more baffles and put up some barricades. And quite frankly, we didn't feel that it was a good investment because we didn't think it was going to work. It was going to be the same situation. We have some baffles hanging. We have also responded to Midland Road tonight, earlier today, as well as Preston Avenue at Laconia Road. So Midland Road, Preston Avenue, Laconia Road. We sent out a certified noise meter instructor. There, we recorded it. The highest reading we got today, and we used the AR-15s, our most powerful weapon, was a 53 from the curb on Midland Road. Midland Road is the closest of all of the streets from the people that spoke tonight. It came in at 53. We recorded it. We recorded the shooting, the person shooting the AR-15, as well as the officer with the noise meter in his hand with 53 as the highest reading. So with that said, we're not over the 55 decibel reading limit in accordance with the ordinance. Again, we're still sympathetic towards the shooting, and we're going to work towards that. We currently have 2 grants pending, and unfortunately, they take time to be reviewed, and we are hoping to get approved. If they get approved, it will be for approximately $1.6 million. If we had the funding, we would already have closed the facility. We would love to close the facility and close it where we don't have to have complaints. We don't want to be adversaries. We don't want to have to come up here and hear the complaints. We want to be good neighbors, right? We want to build a facility and enclose it. We've got 2 grants out there for $1.6 million. One was applied, was submitted on April 8th, 2022. The second one was submitted on April 21st, 2022. They're for $1.6 million. If we're fortunate to get those grants, we will enclose the facility. In the meantime, as I said, we're sympathetic. However, we cannot just stop qualifying officers. We have no place to qualify. Nobody wants to take a police department with 153 members and qualify with rifles and handguns. Yes, we do need to carry rifles and handguns, no matter how big or small your community is. As you've seen and you watch the news, it can happen anywhere. You have to be prepared. And I can tell you, we are prepared. Bottom line is, it has to stay open for now. We don't have any other options. And right now, we have to maintain the training platform that we have to maintain the service and the excellence, the professionalism, the precise police work that we do to help the city of Cranston, the community at large, protect the people at large if there is an incident. So with that, I will tell you that it has to stay open for now. We're waiting. These things don't happen overnight. And that's the best we can do for now. We don't, unfortunately, if we could wave a magic wand and close it, we would do it tomorrow. But unfortunately, it relies on the funding. That's all I have. If the council has any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Major. Is there any further comment from the administration?
Hello, yes. Members of the committee, good evening. Members of the public and the residents, good evening to you, and thank you for your input and your concerns. My name's Anthony Moretti. I'm the Chief of Staff of Mayor Hopkins, and he certainly hears your concerns. He understands your concerns, and he fundamentally agrees with all of your valid concerns. With that, things come down to money sometimes. And looking at what's available, projects no matter what you want, there's three options, I guess. Four options. Leave the range as it is. 2, close the range down. 3, move the range. Or 4, as Mrs. Sabinski mentioned, enclose the range. Probably the best practical solution would be enclosing the range. That being said, pardon me, did you want something? No, okay. That being said, the mayor did look into this with the colonel and the major, into the possibility of putting a curtain. I think you've heard of that before, but frankly, it could have just basically one or two sides. But given the quarry scenario, the rock formations around it, the sound could still escape it. So that's not a valid solution. That would have been less expensive. So we didn't want to invest $400,000 or so just to have ourselves in the same predicament that we're in now. As the major mentioned, there are we have to be practical and prudent, that things just can't happen immediately because these require capital funds. And as each person on the council do understand the process, right now, we cannot just push a button and get the architects and the engineers design right now to proceed with the projects that doesn't have approval. So hopefully, yes, we will obtain one or both of the grants with the federal government that the mayor is working with the Senators Reid and Whitehouse on, or actually the state with the speaker. If either of those grants came through or both, we're going to have some real nice opportunity to begin to springboard this. So we're hopeful, and that should, I know from the past, federal grants typically in the late fall or November, December timeframe, you hear yay or nay. I'm not so sure about the timing, about the any funds from the state perhaps, but I can tell you this, that the mayor's working with the governor and getting his ear about lobbying for the city of Cranston. If those two events fail, what we really would like you to do is go to the ballot box in November and vote for the city buildings. There's a referendum there, I believe, for $3.5 million. So the thought is to get that approved by the voters, because right now there's not authorization, nor is there funds allowed by city charter from the voters or the council or the executive branch. So for process wise, that would be the first step. So we encourage that vote, that ballot referendum to pass. If should that be the case, the mayor promises to propose in the next budget cycle, the capital budget cycle, the completion of the enclosing of the range. So he has that promise to you that he will help sponsor that and propose it to the council for some good discussion during the budget process. That being said, we hope you can understand the process to this a bit, I'm sorry. And we think that could be a proposal. Obviously, we have to balance finances, but at that dollar amount, the mayor feels it's worthy, certainly, because he too empathizes that it is beyond a nuisance and it could be nerve-wracking. But it's a necessary thing that he supports the police department to continue doing what they're doing. So you have the mayor's assurance that if we're not able to receive the funding, and hopefully we'll get that bond approved, that he will propose and work with the council for the council to approve a new range, part of it, and closing that range. From this end, that's all we can say, because right now the mayor does not have the authority, and the council's here to discuss it, but I'm not sure the council has the authority to just move ahead at this time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Moretti. Is there anyone else from the police department or the administration who wishes to speak on this topic? Okay, seeing no one, I'll open it up to the council. Councilman Paplaskas.
Thank you, Chair. First off, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming here and speaking tonight, posting your videos, bringing your videos. This helps, when it comes time to make a decision or to figure out what we're going to do moving forward. Certainly appreciate that. Over the years, obviously, we heard from Major Padalano, baffles have been installed, trees, buildings. They've even got a virtual simulator to try and ease the sound and help things in the neighborhood. I'm a resident of the Mechanic neighborhood. I hear it too. My wife works from home. She hears it too. Certainly agree with Mr. Sabinski's analysis about the shooting range in Coventry. I went to that range. I had a day off from work. On a holiday, they were shooting. I sat across the street in the parking lot and I listened and I couldn't hear anything. So I think enclosing the range is the right thing to do. I also believe strongly that we need a well-trained police department to ensure safety in the city and to ensure the safety of the students. I have a freshman at Cranston West School. So I'm certainly sympathize with you. I thank you all for being here this evening. There's certainly that balance, having a well-trained police force. Quality of life issues are extremely important to me. But I will work to whatever I got to do to try to get that range enclosed, whether that's grants, whether that's that bond passing. We don't have a magic wand here, unfortunately, where we could break ground tomorrow on building an indoor range. But it's certainly something I'm in favor of. And I just want to thank you all for coming here. And that's all I have to say, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President. Would anyone else from the committee or the council like to comment or ask the administration a question? Councilwoman Marino.
Thank you to the chair. This particular topic, when I was first elected, this came up with the residents, and I can just say living in Cranston for this long, having a son who's at Cranston West, now a senior, involved in extracurricular activities. I know what those sounds are. On the other side of this, I also, in having been at the training academy, at the range itself, being a responsible gun owner myself, I do believe the range is in the right location because it has been there for a long time. With that being said, I respect very much the administration's efforts and the police department's efforts to work to enclose it. I agree with Councilman Poplawskis that should whatever funding we get, if it could be grant funding or with respect to if the ballot referendum gets approved, if we can make this happen where it's enclosed, I think it would be a benefit to the city. I know as a parent, I am comforted by the fact that the training academy is in that location, especially since the police station has moved from Atwood Avenue to the other end of the city. And many of the officers have students themselves in the buildings. I sympathize. It's not easy, I'm sure, to live in that area and hear that. And unfortunately, the world has changed. And I respect very much that both the police have very good intentions at looking to keep the community safe, and that most of the residents, I think almost everyone here agrees with that as well. And I'm hopeful that we can find the solution as soon as we can get the funding. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilwoman Marino. Does anyone else from the committee have any comments or questions on this topic? Councilwoman Jermaine.
Thank you, Chairman. I hear all the comments and I met Maria, and we understand as noise is the pollution. It affects our quality of life. At the same time, we understand that this issue cannot be resolved right now, as we see. So we cannot fool ourselves. We cannot resolve it right now. But I think it's a good step, what we're doing now, keep pushing. So we have to have a result. We need to keep pushing, but we know it's not gonna be resolved in one day, in next year. But we cross our fingers that we found those grants. One proposition I have is like, for example, I know we passed a resolution last month where different police department can collaborate. is there any way major where we have to, for example, when a department need to practice with R15, for example, and we can collaborate with another or Coventry where they have somewhere we can collaborate in the, when we have to practice this high capacity weapon and we go to another place to do it. Why? Because we need to find some ways because it's not, you know, it's not good for the resident. It's not good for our children. So let's see if we can work something out while we know we cannot close it right now. But as we have collaboration with other departments in the city, okay, in the state, I say city, how we can, when we have to use high capacity weapon, we can go somewhere else and just vice versa. It's the partnership we have.
Councilman Ferry?
Yes, I'll be quick. I agree, we have to close it in. But that could take 2 years. So in the meantime, we have to do something to help these people have a better quality of life. I don't know what that is right this minute. If we have to sit down with them again, we have to make some kind of a concession to them because we're not gonna build this thing in a year or 6 months or 9 months. It's probably gonna take 2 years. So my suggestion would be that we have to make some kind of a concession. I live in Mechanicat. I listen to it too. And we have to do something. Closing it in is the solution. In the meantime, we have to do something to help them improve their quality of life. That's my suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Donegan.
Thank you, Chairwoman. I think Eric had mentioned, you know, being a teacher, myself being a teacher, I wouldn't want to hear that outside my classroom or outside our building. I wouldn't think that's a conducive environment for student learning or for, you know, kids to feel safe. So I'm glad to hear that there are plans in place, you know, to actively look to enclose it. And I'll leave it at that. It's clearly something we have to get done. My mother teaches at West and she has mentioned that she can hear it and she's, you know, been there for 30 years. So it is something that, you know, it should be a priority.
Thank you, Councilman. Anyone else like to say anything? I would ask, I just have a question. It would be for the administration. I appreciate the research that has been done as far as the cost and the feasibility of enclosing the range. I'm curious if we did secure funding. Councilman Ferry made a good point that it would take, you know, a certain amount of time to actually accomplish enclosing this. Do we have any kind of estimate if we had the money tomorrow, how long something like this takes to build?
I'm not from Public Works. I'm not a builder. I can only go by some history, perhaps. I'm thinking could take probably the earliest would be 12 to 15 months from soup to nuts. Meaning just to try to go through the process. Once, if there's authorization, you get the design engineering in place. That could probably take a couple of months. It's not a big project. It's a relatively straightforward project and it's been done before. So it's not, it's basically, you'd have to reinvent the wheel. So it'd probably take a couple of months going out to bid, BOCAP, et cetera. You probably, I'm just estimating maybe another couple of months. So probably about 4 months awarding the contract. You know, I don't know how long construction on something like that, but basically you're enclosing an existing structure. And that's why I was thinking maybe 6 to 8 months, and once you don't have to worry about the winter time because the shell is there. So yeah, it's not going to be a few months, but I'm going to venture to guess in the vicinity of soup to nuts 12 months or so. But perhaps that question could be posed to Director Bernardo. would be give you more informed.
Thank you.
estimate.
Thank you, Director Marty. I would also, I'm just wondering, since we were talking about financing for this, if our auditor, DeMayo, could speak to if there's any possibility that ARPA funding would qualify to be used for this, perhaps under our health and safety or anything like that. I'm just curious.
There is a section under the opera funding that it can be used for health and safety. At this point, it seems like based on the requirement of the residents that it could qualify. But I would like just to look at it a little bit further, but I believe it would fall under that purview.
Thank you, Auditor. I would ask that, you know, if I can speak for the committee, I think it would be great if you could do some research on that, just to know if we have another option. Obviously, if we can get grant funding for that, it would be better so that we can, you know, keep our opera funding. But it would be better perhaps use opera funding than going to bond. I'm not sure. But that's just my opinion. And I just want to thank everyone for coming tonight. I understand how frustrated you are. I do not live far from the range. I work at Cranston West. I coach track at Cranston West, so I am outside listening, but I don't live next door to it, and I won't pretend to understand exactly what you're going through. But I am glad that we could take the small step to have you come before us tonight and present your case to us and have the police and the administration speak as well. I think we all sympathize with the matter, and we want a highly trained police force, but not at the expense of the people who live in the area. So I'd like to say thank you for that. And we do plan to move forward with whatever plans we can. There is no vote to take tonight. If anyone else would like to say something, I would ask you to do so now. Councilman Riley?
Thank you, Chairwoman. I'm sorry. In listening tonight, there certainly needs to be a balance, but something I realized is this issue has been going on for decades. And I just want to commend Colonel Lindquist, Major Patalano, and Mayor Hopkins for tackling a large issue. Sure, they don't have a magic wand and they're not going to solve everybody's problem overnight, but they're at the table, they're trying to find a solution, and they're willing to work with you. And that's what we want in this city. So I think we have a good plan in place that we need to enclose this thing. The next thing is finding the funding and going from there. So I grew up in Cranston. I went to Cranston West. I went to Weston Hills. My daughter's at Weston Hills. We've all heard the gunshots. It's common knowledge. It was never a traumatic situation. We really didn't, me and my friends, and I can only speak from personal experience, it never really affected us. But I think now we have people at the top who are making the right decisions, willing to take on the big projects, and it's going to get done. So I'm happy to see that. And I just want to be thankful to them.
Okay. I just want to say one more time, anyone from the committee have any kind of comments or questions for the administration? No? Okay. We will move on now on the docket so we can wrap up this meeting. The next item would be from the fire department. I have no business listed. I don't see anything from the chief. No? Okay. Next, we have several license renewals that are before the committee. I would ask, is there anyone here from the public, either in person or online, who would like to speak for or against any of these? And if not, then I would suggest, I would entertain a motion to hear these as a block.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley, Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Okay, and then I would entertain a motion to approve the block.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Okay, next we have our monthly schedules. We have the Historic Park Theaters schedule. I'd like to entertain a motion to accept the list of events.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine.
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Council President.
Yes.
Next, we have roads on the Patuxent, and I would entertain a motion to accept the list of events.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Thank you. I don't see a list of events listed for the stadium. There's no miscellaneous items and no presentations, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, would we suggest taking 5-minute recess before the finance?
Finance Committee meeting will start in 5 minutes. Thank you. Okay, wait one more minute. I'd like to call Finance Committee meeting for Monday, September 12th to order. Madam Clerk, please take a roll.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Present.
Councilwoman Mazzulli, Councilman Riley,
Present.
Councilwoman Marino, present, Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campiano,
Present.
Council Paplaskas.
Present.
I'd like to have a motion for the approval of the prior minutes meetings.
So moved.
Second,
Madam Clerk, please take a roll.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Councilwoman Marino,
yes.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Okay. Next, we have committee business matters carried over. The first item is the opioid litigation settlement. Councilman Donegan, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Sorry, I thought I had, this can be removed from the docket.
Does that have to be done in a motion? No? Okay, so we're going to remove the opioid litigation settlement from the docket. Okay, I see there is no correspondence or communications. Next, we will move to public hearings. Is there anyone in council chambers or on Zoom that would like to testify on any matter before this committee? And if so, you would get 4 minutes.
James Warren, 136 Longview Drive, Cranston, Fire Chief. I'll keep it short tonight. I'm just here to ask the council, the Finance Committee to agree to the consent of Richard Mancini to the new position of Assistant Fire Chief of Administration. He has been very active so far. He's come to work on his days off and sat on some new meetings. We are moving forward with a lot of things that you know. We had started changing with our battalion. We split the cities in 2 battalions on September 1st. We are moving to buy some new computer programs to improve our record keeping and to make it easy for rescues and fire officers to do reports. It'd be a lot easier for us to retrieve data and information and track fire calls. It'd be a lot easier for us, and Richard's gonna be very good at doing that. He's also gonna be on a committee that we're gonna review our departments of rules and regulations, which have not been updated since 1996. They need to be done. So I'm just here asking for your consent of Chief Mancini to Assistant Chief. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in council chambers or on Zoom that would like to testify in any matter before the council tonight? For the committee? Excuse me.
Good evening, Douglas Doe, 178 Lippert Avenue. Just a couple of comments about the net metering contract that we discussed tonight. I mentioned last month that the net metering contract November 2020 did not require Natick Ave. It doesn't. It's listed only as potential site in Appendix A. Unfortunately, the administration signed an amendment in April that ties the effective operation date to the resolution of the Natick Ave court case, which doesn't make any sense at all. Why would you tie yourself to one spot? When Revity has told the city, it's told Coventry, it's told Smithfield, they have multiple projects available. So why are we stuck waiting for Natick to go through the court system? The administration told us last month that this contract would save us $800,000 to $900,000 a year. That's $70,000 a month. We're not saving right now. People lost their jobs this year because we know the money. How much money, how many jobs could that $70,000 have saved every month? To find out more I filed a public records request. I wanted a copy of the consultant's report. We paid $4,000 for it. I thought it'd be interesting to read. The company that came in third did the report for Smithfield, and they produced a very professional, detailed, informative report. I thought I'd get the same back from the city. I didn't. I got a memo prepared by city officials summarizing various aspects. So I emailed the Attorney General's office, and the city responded with 2 spreadsheets. That's it. Just 2 spreadsheets for $4,000. No more information. Again, that doesn't make any sense. There must be somewhere in the city a spreadsheet showing the projected costs and benefits of this contract. They prepare them, these companies prepare these for the RFPs. So there must be one. They wouldn't have signed this contract without knowing what the projected costs were going to be for the next 25 years. And this potentially is a 50 to 60, $70 million contract. Somebody must have that information. We deserve to hear it and see it and know how much we're going to be paying to revenue over the next 25 years, 35 years. And finally, there's some comments last month criticizing the Natick residents for the delay. That's beyond the pale. All the residents of Natick Ave did was go to court to protect their rights that exist under the city's zoning ordinance. And the court agreed that their rights were violated. How can anyone blame them for protecting their rights? The failure of this falls directly on Revity. They made promises, they made a contract that was based on assumptions, not facts, not reality. They just assumed Natick would fly through the commission. They just assumed to be building. Now, they have other sites in production right now, in construction. Why aren't we looking at those? When is the city going to stop giving Revity everything that wants and demands? I know Revity wants Natick built, but why are we being forced to be party to that? The contract didn't require that to happen. And we shouldn't be doing that now. We should be demanding from Revity, net metering credits from another source. We should be saving that $70,000 right now, not 2 or 3 years in the future whenever that court case gets wrapped up. You know how long court cases can go in this state. So please dig into this, get the facts and figures that we need, and find out why this administration is tied us to Natick when there are other options available, as Revity has told us in other cities. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in council chambers or on Zoom that would like to testify in any matter on the agenda tonight?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. For the record, Robert Murray, attorney at law at 21 Garden City Drive in Cranston. I represent Revity Energy LLC. Don't take this for my 4 minutes, but just to correct one misstatement by Mr. Doe. Under the RFP process that the Board of Contract and Purchase went through when Mr. Ferry was a member, one of the requirements was that the successful bidder or vendor that was selected had to pay the costs of the city's consultant. So that did not cost the city anything. Revity Energy paid it. So I just want to mention that. It's a minor point, but I just want to set the record straight on that. Very quickly, I'd like to again speak briefly at Councilman Ferry's agenda item, and particularly the requested administration update on virtual net metering contract between the city and Revity Energy. The administration can speak for themselves during the meeting. The comments or questions posed on the agenda perhaps demonstrate confusion of the legal status of the virtual net metering contract and a lack of understanding on this complex topic. To be clear, my client Revity Energy has a valid and binding 25-year multi-million-dollar contract with the city. I remind you that Revity has invested millions of dollars in material reliance on its agreement with the city and under this net metering arrangement. My client has always acted in good faith and will vigorously defend any attempt to interfere or terminate this agreement. While I understand it's an election year, sound bites and political posturing do not serve any useful purpose. Suggestions like negotiating a replacement contract, I assume with another vendor or solar developer, is a launching point for complex and costly legal proceedings for the city. To the contrary, Mayor Hopkins and his administration have been working with my client quietly, respectfully, and effectively to see what we can do to accelerate savings in addition to the anticipated savings contemplated under the net metering contract. We have already amended the net metering contract to accommodate about half of the city's electric load onto another Revity project that is under construction and expected to go online in Q3 of 2023. This will occur before the expected completion and operation of the Natick Avenue Solar Project. Natick Avenue will eventually accommodate savings for the balance of the city's electric costs. To assist the administration in April, Revity agreed to a limited waiver of its exclusivity of its contract to see if other potential partners may be able to provide some financial assistance in the interim months. But in the meantime, the mayor requested and my client is working towards benefiting Cranston by working with other Revity active off-takers to allocate accumulated and future excess credits that can be used for Cranston's benefit. Once fully documented and approved, we will see Cranston receiving the savings contemplated by the original net metering contract. Specifically, at the mayor's urging, we are working with another Rhode Island community and Revity's project entity lender to document the necessary paperwork to achieve those savings for Cranston. Please appreciate these complex matters do take some time to document and implement, but as the mayor has urged us, we are trying to get that done for the city. I reiterate again, while the delays in Natick Avenue project have been beyond our control, Cranston will receive the full 25-year net metering credit discount value, the expected building permit fees, and real estate and tangible personal property taxes expected from Natick Avenue, all in addition to the anticipated interim financial benefits outlined above. Please understand that notwithstanding delays, contrary to some thought, the city was not going to see the actual savings until this year. In the end, the city will still get the full value and benefit of the net metering agreement. A few words about two other matters. First, I believe the city finance department is wrapping up the savings proposal made possible by Revity in the city of Providence. The city is being allocated approximately $450,000 of net metering credits and will receive a financial benefit electric bill savings of approximately $112,500. Revity made those arrangements for several customers, including Cranston, without any compensation for Revity. And finally, just a quick update on the status of Natick Avenue Solar Project. While it is true a Superior Court judge remanded the master plan approval back to the Planning Commission, we expect to reaffirm the total approval of the project.
We are not discussing the project at this time. We're just talking about the net metering contract.
I
Sir,
understand.
thank you.
There's been considerable public comment in the last few days. I have two sentences I'd like to read, Mr. Ferry. If you don't want to hear the facts, that's your discretion as chairman.
We are not discussing the Natick Solar project at this time. We're only discussing net metering. That's all we're discussing right now. Thank you.
I'll accept for the record your refusal to allow me to finish my remarks, and thank you for your time.
You can finish the rest of the remarks if they're not about the project.
Well,
If I could get legal to weigh in on that, whether or not one is relevant to the other in terms of.
The agenda item speaks to the contract itself and specific questions about that process. That's what the agenda item speaks to.
I don't want to, that's up to the chair.
Speaks to the net metering contract, the agenda item.
Okay, so we'll thank you for your time. We hope that we've imparted some helpful information to you. That's our only purpose here, and be happy to answer any questions. Representatives of Revity Energy are here. Thank you.
Is there anyone else in council chambers or on Zoom that would like to speak on any matters on the agenda tonight?
Drake Patton.
Drake Patton, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening. Drake Patton, 684 Natick Avenue. I want to piggyback on my neighbor Doug Doe's testimony regarding the net metering contract that is on the docket tonight, confirming once again for the record that the original contract between the city and Revity Energy was in no way irrevocably tied to the Natick Avenue solar project, a project that remains in litigation and one that has not been and may never be built. The contract offered alternative site options with which to provide the net metering benefit to save money on our municipal energy costs. A broader exemption was also included at the time. In short, the city had other opportunities to save the citizens money. It is unclear why this did not happen. Only the administration can answer this. To date, they have not done so, despite Mr. Murray's surprise but prepared reveal this evening. Instead, at the last meeting, the city solicitor seemed to double down on the false narrative that the net metering contract was tied solely to Natick Avenue Solar. Perhaps that is not surprising, since by his own admission, the city solicitor, quote, doesn't really understand contracts, unquote. Still, he went on to falsely suggest that the city's failure to maximize taxpayer benefit with this contract was the fault of the citizens who are in litigation over the Natick Solar project. Again, falsely tying the net metering contract to the Natick Solar project. This falsehood was then furthered by Councilman Riley, who stated outright that the city's substantial financial loss was the fault of those same citizens. His accusations verge on slander, and they are unconscionable. It is also a curious and foolish accusation, since those citizens and their case has been upheld in Superior Court, where a judge ruled that citizens' rights had indeed been violated by the city's owned process. The city must now start over, hearing the project from the beginning. So, rather than slandering tax-paying voters for their exercising of their legal rights, perhaps Councilman Riley should turn his ire on the city's leadership
Chairman,
for running afoul of due
want to
process.
stay to the agenda?
Project,
I'm sorry.
We're going to stay to
Hold on,
the
please
agenda.
hold.
or not?
It's on the agenda.
financial
It's not on the agenda.
Drake Patton, please stay with the net metering contract information, please.
Thank you, I did. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else in council chambers or on Zoom that would like to speak on the net metering contract? Okay, at this time, I would like to close public hearings. Okay, next we have new matters before the council. Resolution supporting the city's participation in the Climate Resilience Building Program. Council President Paplaskas.
Thank you, Chair. This grant is pretty self-explanatory. What this does is it allows, if we pass this, it allows the city to apply for climate resiliency funds and grants through the Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank. We need to pass this and also send the hazard mitigation plan, and that would qualify us to be able to apply for those grants. So this gives us the opportunity to move forward and for Lisa to apply for them. So this is per her request. I certainly urge passage because it just opens another door for funding for the city. Thank you.
Second.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Council President Paplas.
Yes.
Next, we have advice and consent of the mayor's appointment of Richard Mancini as Assistant Fire Chief.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Looks like the administration would like to chip in here.
Yes, if I could, good evening, members of the committee. On behalf of Mayor Hopkins, I'd like to present Deputy Chief Richard Mancini to be the new Administrative Assistant Chief for the Cranston Fire Department. This was a very important position for the mayor to get in the latest contract negotiations. I think it's going to make a real difference going forward. Deputy Chief Mancini's got 34 years of experience, has served in every capacity there is in the fire department, and we think it's vital that his appointment goes forward in order to really change the future of the Cranston Fire Department. Thank you. He is here if you have any questions for him, but I think his career speaks for itself. Thank you.
Any discussion from the committee or the council? Councilwoman Marino,
Good luck and thank you for stepping up.
Council President?
Thank you. I'd like to say the same thing. Good luck. And, professionalism of the fire department is from the bottom up and the top down. So certainly look forward to seeing that. And Chair, if you'll let me opine for 1 second. I helped out at the Greek Festival this weekend and there was a fire prevention officer. I just want to pass this on to Chief Warren and the future chief. fire prevention officer made himself available to all of the scouts and spoke with them over the weekend and even helped up with cleanup. And hopefully that person inspired a future firefighter in the troop. So I just want to say professionalism from the top down. Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilwoman Jermaine?
So although I'm not in the committee, but I truly appreciate your support, your service, and welcome and good luck.
Okay, Madam Clerk, please take a vote.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Councilman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan.
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Congratulations. You don't have to stay for the rest of the meeting. All right, next we have real estate tax abatements. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Second.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take a vote.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Next, we have motor vehicle tax abatements. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Second.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take a vote.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Next, we have tangible tax abatements. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take a vote.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan.
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Next, we have tax interest waiver approvals. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take a vote.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Next, we have tax interest waiver denial. Do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Approve the denial. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take a vote.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan, Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
It's like I'm having some static problems. Okay, next we have council communications. And the first one seems to be a very heated topic.
Through the
and-
chair, if I may, for the
Yes.
record. Out of an abundance of caution, I will recuse myself from discussion, even though there was no vote and even though the Natick solar project and litigation is not directly tied to the topic. Sometimes it tangentially ends up there, and I am one of numerous appellants with that pending litigation. So out of an abundance of caution, I will recuse from discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. I basically have three questions for the administration. And they are directly in reference to net metering. Director Moretti, are you going to represent the administration tonight? If you wouldn't mind coming up to the podium. First question is, are we currently negotiating another net metering contract to replace the net metering contract that Revity was unable to deliver?
No.
Chair, if I may, respectfully, any discussion about other contracts or purported negotiations, terms, things like that should be discussed in executive session as opposed to out in open session. I mean, that I believe comes directly under the Open Meetings Act. I'll defer to Attorney Angel.
As an exception to the Open Meetings Act, providing for closed sessions, any prospective economic advantage to the city would need to be discussed in private.
So we are unable to discuss the net metering contract
Well,
at this meeting.
the way it's phrased and the way it's contained on the way it's denominated on the agenda is as a question, are there other negotiations? It seems to really ask and require the revealing of potential negotiations that the city is
Okay, I'll
undertaking. So it
rephrase
should
the
be in-
question. Are we seeking another net metering contract for the city to save money?
As you know, the net metering contract was signed under prior administration. So we are following the legal advice of our solicitor's department. We're using no subjectivity. So per their advice, we are informed that Revity bid on a valid bid proposal. And they won the bid, a competitive bidding process years ago, again, prior to this administration, and were granted that. They proceeded through the planning process to our knowledge and received many approvals, but obviously through a legal challenge. And just recently, the courts have ruled to basically send it back and repeating pretty much the process to gain planning approvals. With that, we have been informed that it is an exclusive agreement. And at this time, if we were to enter into any other agreements without their consent.
I'm sorry. to interrupt.
Too far.
I'm sorry. We shouldn't be discussing this in open session. This is perfectly acceptable to do an executive session, but we're going far afield of what I believe is in the legal interests of the city at this point. We need to do this in executive session.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, for clarity for the committee. Prospective economic activities within the city would seem to be the heading under which negotiating with the man in the moon or the fellow next door on this issue comes into play. Doesn't matter who it is. It's a prospective economic activity within the purview of the administration, whomever they may be negotiating with, until they come before the council with a contract to be approved. You can discuss the prospective economic activity in closed session. But almost anything that's come out of Mr. Moretti's mouth would seem to implicate if they are discussing this with another party, there's no contract. If there's no contract, then we're in the formative stages. And that's what that exception is designed to protect those activities in closed session.
Okay, I'll discontinue my questioning on the matter. Reluctantly. Next item on the agenda is if we could have an update on the cost of the gazebo park in Knightsville from the administration. If we could we know that there's a $400,000 grant which was awarded, and we would like to know the total cost of the gazebo park project.
$1,407,000.
$1,407,000.
There was a bidding process that concluded, in fact, last week. Well, actually, technically not concluded. It's going to be finally approved by BOCAP at the next meeting. But at the prior meeting, with the envelopes, so the bid envelopes were opened, and the lowest bidder was Tower Construction for that number I gave you, $1,407,000.
Thank you. What I'd like to say is, first of all, I'd like to thank Chris Poplaskis for all the work that you've done to bring this to a reality. Okay. Knightsville is in my backyard. I have roots in Knightsville. I'm not against the project by any means. Make that perfectly clear. But as I knock on doors and travel through the city, there are many issues that people want resolved immediately. And I would hope that the administration would take a look at this $1.4 million project and make some attempt to scale it back so we can use some of those funds to do the things that people are asking us to do today, like more rodent control, to do something about speeding, improve the sidewalks, playgrounds, street paving, and the pool.
Legal, this isn't part of the agenda.
I'm not prepared to answer all these questions.
Just making a
It's not on the agenda.
suggestion. I didn't
Political
ask you a
speeches, yeah.
question.
It's,
You know,
you
I
gotta
am
stick-
asking.
You want to
I'm-
stick to the agenda
I
when you
am
want to
making a
stick to the
suggestion.
agenda, but you want to veer off when you want to
So I
veer
would
off.
like to know if this administration would consider scaling back the project to do some of the things that the people are asking us to do now.
The administration will have the proper balance for all the things you mentioned. The city will go on and we'll get it all done and in the proper way. You just don't curtail, stop city government and stop everything and just say no. So there is a proper balance to this. And correct, we have $550,000 of grants dedicated to this project. This project will cost in the vicinity of $900,000. And I think there's a lot of people that look forward to this project. And maybe the other council members at a point would want to discuss that. And by the way, funds have been previously approved on the infrastructure and particularly council approved about $500,000 for the gazebo park. So the answer is yes, the mayor has considered what the appropriate level of investment should be for the community and for the city of Cranston. So the answer is yes to your question.
Answer to my question is yes.
Yes,
Yes, what?
the mayor is considering all those factors that you mentioned.
Thank you.
Within.
That's all I wanted to know.
Chair, can I just
Yes.
give a point of information and a little history on this for a minute? If you don't mind, you know, this project in Knightsville started back, honestly, back in 2018, but the council passed a resolution in 2019 that was sponsored by myself, Council President Farina, Vice President Favicchio, Councilmembers Donegan, Vargas, Brady, McCauley, Stikos, and Hopkins. It overwhelmingly passed, and if I remember correctly, there was a amendment made that I think Councilmember Stikos made to that original resolution, because the original resolution I put in stated just grant funding. But it said to build the park with or without city funding, and he added that, and that passed unanimously as well. Because building green space in the city is important. You know, I don't think we built a park in the city since the 70s. I appreciate your kind words at your opening remarks. But it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be a place we all can enjoy. We're going to make a neighborhood more walkable. You know, I've seen a lot of planning recommendations over the years, and I brought a copy of that tonight. You know, rezoning that space to open space is in the comp plan. It is in the future land use map. You know, that passed unanimously there too, and was supported by the council as well. So I know, you know, money's tight. The administration will certainly make appropriate cuts if they have to certain aspects of the park, but we're also still working on grant funding. So there's more to come, and hopefully it's seen through, and it'll be beautiful for everyone to use. So I look forward to that. Just want to give my 2 cents. Thank you, Chair.
Any other comments? Simply, the next item agenda would be if you could give us an idea of the estimated cost of the Knightsville revitalization project, not including the gazebo.
We don't know that. It's a project that's being worked on, so we have no estimate at this time.
No estimate?
No.
Have we spent any money to date planning that project?
Yes. Yep. $320,000 for the engineering, for not just that, but the entire project, but does incorporate the park also.
So the engineering and architectural work is $320,000 for the park and the revitalization.
Correct.
That's how much we've spent already.
Correct.
Thank you. Next item. Councilwoman Marino, update on the status and or results of the standard federal audit of the CDBG.
Thank you to the chair. This is a question towards the administration, just looking for an update on exactly that. That would be great.
Yeah, the audit has been concluded and there are no findings, which in the accounting terms is a good thing. That there's no notable, no findings is the proper word. No qualifications relative to CDBG.
And the next audit will be the same time next year, correct?
If they choose to, there's always an audit, but if they choose to look at the CDBG funds, yes, but they could just look at other grants. So it's not guaranteed to be CDBG. Depends on where their sampling is.
Okay. Thank you.
Discussion status on the issue of the Park Theater and Affiliates Agreement with the City of Cranston to use the city parking lot and relevant insurance policies. Councilwoman Marino.
Thank you. I have had discussions with the solicitor's office. Attorney Verdecchia has updated me in that he's gotten some additional information. Again, the concern here is just to make sure that the city of Cranston is afforded liability protection, given the shared use of the parking lot and the varying businesses at the Park Theater. For that reason, given that it seems like it's in process, which Attorney Verdecchio can maybe enlighten us on, I foresee that maybe we can continue this, maybe even a couple of months to give plenty of time to address it.
Sure, that's fine. And just for your edification and the edification of the committee, I did have 2 conversations today with Starkweather and Shepley, who they are the insurance carriers for Park Theater, and they had sent me, I had already left my office, so I don't have it yet, but they did amend the certificate of insurance to include both entities, both the business as well as the realty company. And as you may or may not know, the city as well as the school department are also additional insureds. So I am very satisfied with the insurance certificate. I think we are covered to the greatest extent legally possible. I will ask, and I don't imagine this to be any kind of a problem, I just want to make a slight amendment to the original lease, just to clarify one of the parties, one of the signatories there. It seems that the original lease may have been executed when there was a different entity that owned the Park Theater. So I just want to update that. It's not a big deal. I don't anticipate any kind of a problem with that. And that original lease contains a very detailed indemnification provision. So I think we're doing everything. I'm satisfied from a legal standpoint that if we get those things done, the city is more than protected.
Exactly. I appreciate that. Giving it the attention so that the city is adequately protected. Thank you.
Next is status of Cranston's participation in the Rhode Island Community Septic Loan Program and Sewer Tie-in Program. Councilwoman Marino.
Thank you to the chair. To Director Moretti, I'm sure you'll recall we met in February. I met with you, the mayor, Director Mason, head of DPW at the time, and Director Strom, discussing the city's participation in, at least there was agreement with respect to the septic loan program, not so much the sewer tie-in program. That was back in February. It was said that it would take approximately 6 months in order to get the required on-site wastewater management program report to DEM, which is required in order for us to be a participant in that program for the benefit of the citizens. Given the most recent flooding that took place, it actually was resurrected again, the issue with a couple of residents who are looking to replace their septic system, which is why also I put this on the agenda tonight. If you can update us, that'd be great. Thanks.
If it's okay, we got a little confused. This item is on the agenda for the Public Works Committee. So also, so I was speaking with the director. And we're just wondering if it's okay to defer to have a good, very good comprehensive answer right out of the horse's mouths. As to where that stands. We thought that might be a better forum and a more informed forum with him being here.
Yep, that's perfectly fine. The reason why I placed it on both finance and public works is that previously, when this topic came up by me, it was suggested that it be discussed with both finance director
Okay.
and public works. So out of an abundance of caution, I placed it
Okay.
again on both agendas, but that's why I have no objection to discussing it Thursday with the head of public works. That'd
Okay.
be great.
Maybe I could just give a somewhat of an explanation as to where we stand. Soon after that, as you know, Mr. Mason had given notice. So at the time, we basically went into budget season without finance director, without a public works director. With that, we basically said we have to defer when those people are installed. Because we don't want to just make an administrative decision in terms of putting more work on either of those departments. But I could tell you this, that obviously our public works director is going to be, is here. And we're proposing a fine gentleman for finance. And the mayor is absolutely in agreement and support of this. And I believe Director Bernardo is in support in doing the work to want to see this through. I know that we're thinking it was a potential budgetary issue about funding to get, I'll say, certified or qualified under DEM, but we think we have a mechanism to do it. So it's looking very good. Timing might be, is a bit delayed, primarily due to personnel. That's the basics, but they can supply more of the technical answer for you later.
Thank you. I look forward to it. Thanks.
Sure.
Okay,
Through the chair, just to clarify, is that going to go on Public Works agenda for this Thursday? We'd have to amend the agenda and repost it.
It's already on.
Oh, it's already on. Okay.
Yep.
Madam Clerk, could you please move the next item from Councilwoman Vargas to next month, please? The lien tracking system. And the last item on the agenda is the status of the splash pad at Bain Track. Councilman Donegan.
Thank you. It pretty straightforward, just looking for an update on what's going on.
You know, frustrated that I'm not going to give you the answer we want to hear right now. As you know, Director Tassaglia, I believe you might know, has an injury and he's been out on, I don't want to say medical leave, but out for a while. And it's been a couple of weeks. I asked him the answer to that. So I have not followed up in the past 2 weeks. I've left him alone because I know he's been in pain. But unfortunately, waiting on back order. Supply chain issues are causing that problem. Complete frustration. What I'll do is certainly offline, I'll get a hold of him once he calls in. I'll try to get an ETA on this because we should have at least an update as to when we should get those components in.
What has been purchased to date? Do you know?
Don't have that. I don't know what's in, what's not, but I know it's with the contractor. So I don't have that. It's not that the city's received and, certain items in and not. So I don't have the answer. After speaking with him, hopefully he'll get a better answer. So I do apologize. Been frustrated. I don't have that answer for you, but everyone wants it done. And let me see what I can do to.
Has any money been spent yet?
No, I'm just thinking, was there any design money, which I believe would have just been the money where we were going to be originally at the stadium school and just adapting it or modifying it for that location. In terms of, I'll say hard costs, no, for the project.
Do you think if we put this on the agenda for the full council meeting, will that give you enough time to get an update?
Again, update certainly.
All right, through the chair to the clerk, could we put this on the agenda for the full city council meeting to get an update?
Yes, I apologize on that. Apologies on that, Councilman.
Council President.
Yeah, can I just add something to that? When I was gonna say, let's put it on the full council meeting if you'd have it, but obviously we missed the season this year. It'd be nice if we could figure out a way to, I know the supply chain issues to get everything we need in. It'd be great to break ground as soon as the ground thaws and try to get that done. I think it's something that we all support here, so.
I know that is one of the top priorities, particularly in recreation, along with the pool that the mayor has. And he hasn't forgotten about that.
We can store all the parts in your garage, whatever you want.
Correct.
We get it done. Thanks.
Any other discussion on that matter? Motion to adjourn?
So moves.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye and aye again.
All opposed?